Good morning, Tuesday. Welcome back. If your workouts feel like a punishment, you'll eventually quit. If you don't need to be fired up every day, then you're not doing something wrong, okay? Because you don't need to be fired up every day. That's kind of the point with sustainable health and fitness. But you do need to enjoy what you're doing to keep going. And I've trained many runners over the years, and they are a perfect example of this. They love to run. They don't love to lift weights. Now, yeah, people like to lift weights and run, that's cool too. But a lot of runners that I've trained don't like to lift weights very much. They rather be running because they love to run. And that's great. So they should keep running, and they should probably do more of it. And what you find is, if you enjoy what you do more, then you're going to do more of it. And moving and movement is one of the most important things in our lives. So you want to be consistent with it. You don't want to start and stop. None of that, right? And you don't want to be jumping on the next thing because it's exciting, or somebody else is doing it, or the internet told you so. And you can do that, that's fine, but do it for fun. Don't do it as this is gonna be the new thing that gets me to engage with working out or moving more, because it's just not sustainable, unfortunately. And yeah, there's a lot of scientific evidence. I've never met a coach that disagrees with me because once you coach for a long time, you start realizing, wow, like it's really important for people to enjoy what they do. Now, I wouldn't say all of my clients that I train enjoy training, especially not as much as I do, but we make it as fun as we can. For some people, we change up exercises more, and for other people, we make specific exercise selections that make it more enjoyable. For instance, like if you just hate the lunges, right? We'll do some single leg exercises that aren't lunges. You don't have to be lunging. But the great thing that is missed time and time again is the fact that you need to have some enjoyment in what you do. Now, there is somebody I train, actually there's a couple somebodies, especially over the years, that really do not like strength training, okay? And me pushing them is one of the worst things ever. However, once you do it a little bit, and it starts out just a little bit here, ooh, that was uncomfortable, ooh, a little more uncomfortable, but you reaffirm them, and they can do this themselves, but in a coaching thing, obviously, reaffirming them for pushing it, right? And then all of a sudden, over a little bit of a time, a couple weeks, maybe a month, they start to grip onto that as understanding that a little discomfort ends up paying off, because they get an attaboy, which who doesn't like an attaboy? And I'll be the first person to say, I do not like words of affirmation. It makes me feel uncomfortable. However, deep down psychologically, if you're telling me I'm doing good, or an attaboy, then it's going to make a resonance inside of me. And that resonance is positive. And so all of a sudden we start, oh, I kind of like that. And so finding those little tweaks on exercises that you have to do. So for instance, if you love to run, but you're like, man, my legs are just not getting stronger anymore. I mean, I can run a 5K, but I'm not getting stronger. So I'm gonna have to incorporate some sort of strength training into my legs to get stronger, to run better or run longer, or just maintain a certain level of strength, right? But man, do I not like split squats. Oh golly, I really just don't like them. Okay, fine. So you're gonna have to squat then. You're gonna have to do a lunge. You're gonna have to do some single leg exercise or whatever it is. And so pick the one you like the most, or it seems least amount of friction, and then start off with doing little bits at a time, and then a little more over time. But this idea that you have to do things that suck all the time, as much as I love the idea philosophically, like do hard things, you have to be really careful, because if you overstep yourself, like if you go too far and you do something that's too challenging, then guess what? You end up disliking it so much that you don't do more of it. You actually do less of it, and then eventually you'll end up quitting, or you'll change from doing this and you'll do something else, which in reality, sometimes the most boring basic things, that's where the magic happens. So to be consistent, you have to adhere to the program or the plan. So if you're not adhering, guess what? The results are going to be very minimal. So how can you adhere more? How can you do that? And I would say one of the biggest predictors of long-term success. Oh, we lost me. Okay, I'm back. One of the biggest predictors of long-term success, especially in fitness, but really with anything that you're trying to do that's going to get you an outsized return, whether it's like your finances, whether it's your job, whether it's your business, right? Your health, whatever it is. The biggest predictor of long-term success isn't the perfect plan, it's the adherence to the plan. So the plan can be messy and it can be wrong a little bit, but if you adhere to it and you show up consistently, guess what? You're gonna change what you need to change and you're just gonna keep moving forward. And if we know, I mean, it sounds silly, right? But if you keep moving forward and you don't stop and start and stop and start and you don't quit, guess what? You're gonna be successful eventually at whatever you're trying to do, right? The more you do it, the better you get. So the perfect plan, actually, one, you spend way too much time thinking of the perfect plan. And that is so much time and action wasted. And then two, there is no such thing as a perfect plan. Now, I've been in the health and fitness industry, my entire adult life, and I see the perfect plan set on sale all the time, right? But I also see everybody failing on the perfect plan. Gee, I wonder why, right? And so you got to be careful of that. So action is the most important thing, especially in the moment. If you feel a glimmer of taking action, you got to take action immediately, because then you can build on more action over time. It's like, oh, I should be walking more. So I'm going to walk every night for the next month, and I'm going to do at least 2 miles. But you haven't been walking at all. So actually what makes sense is, how about you just put your shoes on and walk down the block? That's the goal. But the goal sounds so small and insignificant to you, you minimize it in your head and you're like, well, you know what, I'm just not even going to bother doing that. And if you can't do 5 miles, then what's the point? But really, that is the most limiting thing you can do to getting long-term results. Too evil, too hope. What's up? The plan must be perfect. What if the plan is only to think of the plans? Exactly. If your plan is to think of the plan, then okay, you could make a better plan, right? That sounds like a good idea. I like that. But most people are going to get stuck in thinking too long about the plan. So I like to schedule out a certain amount of time, a window of time. Like, okay, Zach, you have 20 minutes or 30 minutes to focus on the plan, make it better, think on it, and then that's it. Because you really don't need a lot of time to think or change the plan. You need more time acting on the plan, because the more time you act on the plan, the more feedback you'll get, and then you can change it. Okay? I have literally wasted years of my life overthinking and planning things to death. And then I'll start the plan, and then I'll be like, oh wait, it could be better. It could be a lot better, actually. I just thought of this, wow, I'm so smart. I just thought of a way to make it better. And then hours and days and weeks go by instead of more and more action being taken, and then I get more feedback, and then I can change the plan. But instead, we feel good by thinking about the great plan we're building. But if you've ever done anything significant in your life, or you've ever met somebody that's just way ahead of the game, like you play basketball and you're like, that guy's got a great three-pointer. He didn't spend a lot of time sitting on the sideline thinking about his shot. He just kept shooting. And then he realized, wow, like he realized somebody said, hey, you're not getting a lot of that extension of the elbow. You're not getting the flick or the follow through of the wrist. And so he's like, you know what? That's a great idea. I'm going to work on that today. And I'm going to work on it tomorrow. And all of a sudden his shot got better. So it was the action that got him to change the plan. And then he got better results. And that's why working out is one of the most simplest things ever, right? Because all you have to do is just start walking, or all you have to do is do a bodyweight squat until you don't want to do anymore. But people think that that's so silly because, well, that sounds easy, or it can't be that simple, Zach. No, it can, Because when you start squatting, eventually you're gonna stop because it's just gonna be, you can't do any more squats. And then you're like, okay, well now what do? Well, shoot, I got some energy in my upper body, I'm gonna do some push-ups. And then all of a sudden you have a workout program you just created by yourself. You don't need, some master coach to do it for you. Now, after you become, you go over the hill of being a beginner, yeah, plans are a little more helpful. Like having meal plans can be helpful, but usually people with meal plans, they fail all the time. Bodybuilders, meal plans for bodybuilders, they will use them for their show. And maybe they'll succeed and they'll look great on their show. But guess what? After their show, they fall apart because a meal plan is not something that's meant to be sustainable. So most people are wasting so much time thinking and planning and then choosing things that are not sustainable over time. And then that's what starts this start, stop, start, stop. Should we be ruled by our feelings or plans? For the most part, a feeling is just a feeling. Feelings become something else when we prescribe. Bear with me. A feeling is here. It's just a feeling. But when we prescribe meaning to the feeling, if I feel angry and then I prescribe meaning on the anger, then it changes my reality. Okay? But if I feel anger and I say, I'm feeling angry, and I let it pass, maybe it takes a couple minutes. Maybe it takes a lot longer than a couple minutes. But I don't prescribe meaning to it. Guess what? It's gone. All of a sudden, I got bored. I'm bored now. I'm not angry, I'm just bored. And maybe you're a little angry because you're bored. But you didn't prescribe meaning to it. But the problem with our feelings and our ideas is we are taught when we're young, we prescribe a meaning to the feeling immediately. And then we act differently because of it. That is a lack of emotional stability and mental stability. And I would say it's a skill to learn that, okay? And it is very difficult if you've been wired one way as a kid to rewire yourself the other way, okay? So no, we shouldn't be ruled by those, right? But it's a skill, so you can always get better. Now, you can say I'm angry and I'm prescribing a reason why I'm angry and what am I gonna do about it? Great. But if you're not aware that you're doing that, that's the problem. The awareness is the problem there. And then how you react after being aware is obviously also important. It's like if I'm angry and I punch a wall and I put a hole in the wall, had a lot of friends that did this. I've done this before. Okay? Well, gee, that wasn't good for me. And whatever that anger was, I let it dictate my reality. I let it choose what I'm going to do now. Instead of my brain, my prefrontal cortex, the executive functioning of the brain saying, okay, I'm angry, but gee, hurting myself by punching the wall doesn't sound very smart. Maybe I could be more constructive here. Okay? I don't want to get too off track with this, but it's a great question, Hope. It's a great question, okay? And it does tie into what we're talking about, because when we're planning or we're thinking about planning or we're not taking action, we are missing out on the awareness of the feelings, because the feelings are driving the behavior, unfortunately. When in reality, the plan should drive the behavior, and then the behavior can change the plan, and then the feelings, they're here, and they're here, and they're here, and they're all around, but they don't dictate the behavior and the execution of the plan. But unfortunately, we're all human, so we have emotions, and we gotta deal with them, right? But that's where action can be one of the most powerful things you can do. This is why meditating got so popular in the last 10 years or 5 years. Yeah, 10 years, about 10 years. Is the fact that meditating is you taking action. It's an action that's really hard and most people don't like doing it, but that's where I say taking action can look very different. Taking action could be, okay, I'm really angry right now and I don't know what to do with these feelings. So I'm gonna take action instead of thinking about it and getting more angry about it, because you can't change anger by thinking about it or some other emotion. You have to take action. So Instead of just being angry and sitting with it, maybe you should just go for like literally do pace, just walk, right? And then all of a sudden that movement facilitates neurochemicals in your brain to re-stabilize what you're feeling. And then all of a sudden like, ooh, okay, all right, now I can make a better decision, okay? So going back to adhering to the plan, right, and taking action being so important is that the game isn't grind it out, do more. Yes, yeah, doing more and grinding out sometimes is what it takes to get somewhere. However, it shouldn't be the root foundation of your plan in life, period. Because you will always fail that way. And anybody online that tells you differently or shows you, right, like get hard, you know, run 100 miles. If you can't run 100 miles on a broken leg, then you're a loser. Well, guess what? That person has some underlying issues and they are on the extreme. Most people are not on the extreme. They are in the middle, somewhere in here. This is average, and average is not a bad thing, okay? But hopefully we want to be a little above average. We want to go back and forth. We want to get better, okay? And that's great. But using the extreme person or the extreme example is one of the worst ways to make progress, because you trick yourself into thinking, I have to be extreme to get results or to have an outsized return. And that might be where you eventually go, but starting out in the extreme is not wise. Because if you want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, right, in his prime, okay, that's extreme. Great. And if that's what you want, great. But if you start out like that, you're going to have a much harder time making progress because it's too much too soon. You need to slowly build with taking action. And then for you personally, with your life, like you're a shift worker, okay? Well, a shift worker and somebody who goes to school for most of the day are gonna have two totally different lifestyles. So they can't adopt an extreme for everybody. It has to be unique to themselves. And then all of a sudden you can make it more sustainable. And then that's how you train for years without stopping. That's how the person that trains for a couple years without stopping always looks better than somebody that did a 6-week program or a 2-month program or a quick little hack or whatever it is. They always crash. It always burns out. What if you become too healthy and accidentally live forever? Yeah, that'll be the day. Once I thought I was wrong, it turned out I was mistaken. Okay, all right, thank you. Sashma, what's up? Good to see you. How are you? Okay, so that is the long monologue that I had that was supposed to be a lot shorter, but it's important and I hope it impacts somebody today and helps you out, okay? We're gonna deadlift today because I love to barbell deadlift. If there was no negative consequence to barbell deadlifting every single day, I probably would do it every single day, okay? But I haven't done it. I could literally count on one hand how many times I've done it in the last year. And over the weekend, I was thinking, you know what? I'm making these videos. I'm doing these workouts for busy men that have kids and have a family and have a wife and have a business or whatever. And they're quick workouts. They're like 10 to 20 minute workouts. But me personally, I don't like 10 to 20 minute workouts. They work great. I do them quite often because I have to. But I enjoy a long grinder. I enjoy strength training, little bit on the powerlifting side, and then I love hypertrophy work. Okay, so I need to do something for myself today, so we're gonna deadlift, okay, after this. All right, yeah. I feel bad for you. You are literally wasting your time right now typing this out in chat when you could be doing something for yourself and making yourself better. So I pray that you have a much better day because you are wasting your time and I feel really sorry for you. No, hands, I don't even know what that is, man. I have some idea what that is, but I don't know exactly what that is. You can explain it to me though. This is a fully open and transparent live. I really have, I have no prerequisites for what we necessarily talk about because I think in the world today, it's Okay, I'm gonna make a YouTube video. Here's the hook. Da 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 da. Oh, then this is for you. Here's a bone. Thank you. All right, like, subscribe. I'm sick of it. Nobody's real anymore. I'm a real person, and so are you. And we need to share our issues, and we need to share what's working, and we need to share what's not working. Okay? So, real quick, my book. I was browsing through it again today, and one of my favorite quotes. It's on the introduction page, and I just want you to sit with this and write it down if you'd like. The capacity to be present to everything that is happening without resistance creates possibility. And I read that because it goes into what we're talking about feelings and planning and action. Let me read it one more time. The capacity to be present to everything that is happening without resistance is what creates possibility. And possibility in our lives is exciting. I don't know about you, but when I'm depressed or I'm sad, it's because my brain is tricking me into thinking that the possibilities, they're just not there. Like, what is this? Why am I doing anything? There's not much possibility. There's not much hope, right? And I hope I can remind you today that there's always hope, right? Something made us. I'm siding with it was God. That's my bias, okay? He made us, and he made us unique, and he made us in his image, and he loves you. So if you just start with that, man, that's huge. That's an unlock. Like, what does that mean? Wrestle with that for a while. Okay? All right, we're going to deadlift. Thanks for the sub, Hands. Appreciate you. I like learning AI. Oh, Muhammad, I love the AI. I'm spending way too much time on it. It's so much fun. It's going to take over the world. In a good way, I hope. In a good way. How do you incorporate Jesus into your plans? Hey, that's funny. I didn't read that before I was talking about God. Okay, one more question, and then I'll start loading the bar, warming up, and then I'll keep talking while we do it, okay? But this is going to get longer than it should be, but Evil Hope, you asked me, so we're going in. I used to be a selfish loser in my high school years, my younger years, and most of my 20s. You're just a complete selfish loser, and it was all about me. And when the gospel was shared to me, and the gospel is that, well, hold on, I'll get to that. And I was, let's go a little deeper, okay? I was addicted to drugs. I was selling drugs. I used to have a Glock 45 underneath my seat in my RX-7 or my Honda Civic, both, okay? And I was willing to shoot somebody over a dime bag, okay? It was ridiculous, okay? And I was in many dark places, and I saw dark things, and I saw broken people. And I felt that I was one of those broken people, so I fit right in. And there's a couple podcasts I'm in. I should actually link those in the description. I haven't done that, but I talk more about my story a little bit there. But that's how I got into working out and coaching and being obsessed with all of this. Because ultimately, what I found out was taking action and moving, it taught me that I'm not a victim to my circumstance. I'm not a victim to my mind. I don't care what a doctor says, whatever they say is in here or not in here, I don't care. None of us are victims. We all have a choice. And so Jesus dying on the cross for my sins, my brokenness, all the darkness and brokenness I saw, all of my selfishness has taught me that I can live for something other than myself. And I am empowered and I live in hope by that. So that's the quick short of it, okay? But it's not about me telling you and you listening. It's about me sharing what I experienced. And then you testing it for yourself. Because God is real and he is with you. All right? Let's get a good workout in now, okay? I'll keep answering questions, all right? That was the book. It's in the description below. Buy it if you want. Don't buy it if you want. All right. Water, check. Oh, we need a bigger tripod, people. We need a bigger tripod for the deadlifts. All right, so warming up on the deadlifts. Thanks, Handstraw. Why do you have so little people watching your live? You should be... Oh, gosh, dude. Honestly, I really hope I don't get famous. That'd be terrible. I don't know what I'd do with it. I'm actually terrified of that. That would probably not be a good thing. All I know is God has put this on my heart, and I got to share it with people because it's my passion, right? And the few people that I do share it with are like, dude, Thank you for sharing that with me. I appreciate it. So, and really, I didn't have many mentors when I was younger, and I wish I did. And so I'm not saying like I'm mentoring people, but what I am saying is that's why I'm a coach, because it's a great way to mentor people. But ultimately, like, we're all just freaking lost, man. Nobody knows anything for sure, right? Like, people are questioning if we even went to space. Like, was that real? You know, JFK assassination. Like, did we do it to ourselves? Like, was it the government? Was it I don't know, was it another country? Like, everything now is questioned. We know nothing for sure, right? Other than the experience you have spiritually, I think. And we all have the ability to have that experience. And then we also have some shared reality, right? We all agree that the sun goes up and it comes down all the time so far, but what happens when it doesn't one day? I don't know. You know? Okay, I'm gonna start with the rack pulls first, and that'll be a good warm up. We'll go from there. Way too humble. All right, well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you. All right, set this up. One of these days, hopefully we'll get a cameraman or a camera woman. That's fine too. Okay, so warm-ups are super important, but they're also very individualistic. So one of the ways that I need to warm up is I have this big bias in my hips where I could get Elvis pelvis out if you want. But you think of a hip, I have this big oblique on my right side. So with my feet, I stand more out like this, which is externally rotated, okay? So what that means is if I deadlift with the bar too often, because my feet are glued to the ground and my hands are glued to the bar, what happens is I'm losing my ability to rotate. Like, I can't rotate. So I gotta be careful of that. So one thing I do is a reset, I call it a reset, for opening up my hips to be able to deadlift easier. But easier, that's a bad word to use. It's to help me deadlift to get a range of motion, to enhance my range of motion. So when I deadlift, I'm not limiting my range of motion even more than it already is. We don't want that, all right? It's creepy to watch people. If it's creepy to watch people working out, that's funny. That is, that could be a thing. I mean, it's kind of, I personally, I watched a lot of people work out in my 20s because I was like trying to figure things out. And then it was also motivating. I was like, dude, they're getting after it. And one thing with my clients here in the gym, I realize is training intensity and getting used to your body and how do you push it and what is pushing it. It's really hard to learn that. So I know some people like watching, me work out, I don't know, but they like watching people work out, for instance, because you can gauge where intensity should be at and then how you can also change your intensity over time. So hands to draw. How'd you find me today? Were you just like scrolling through YouTube and it just came up or what? All right, we're gonna go back a little bit. You wanna see what I'm doing? There we go. All right, so we start with the left foot into the wall, parallel with my hips, pushing through, right knee to my nose. These are called cross connects. And my elbow is reaching towards that knee. Pushing through the wall gently, breathing in. Okay, switching sides. and you notice I'm still gonna reach with the same elbow. That's very specific to me. And so you're like, okay, well, what is that doing? Well, it's doing a lot of things, but if you think of like rotation, right? If somebody's in their sprint or they're walking, guess what? Boom, that's where you're at, right? So I'm increasing my ability to move in that specific spot, just like I would when I'm walking forward. That's me walking forward, right? So that's true movement, is when we're moving, walking, right? So I'm getting into that position and then I'm breathing in that position and I'm creating more space in my body to move. So when I go to deadlift, I'm not compressed already, I'm starting in an expanded place. And then when I switch my knees, what happens? That's the other rotation. So if you raise your left knee, you're gonna rotate that way, right? And so getting that rotation and starting with that rotation can be very helpful, okay? So let's get into the deadlifts now. Let's go have some fun, shall we? Shall we? Boom, baby. Start with that. We're gonna have to figure out where we're gonna put this. Let's go right there, actually. Perfect. All right. All right, I like starting out with that as a warm-up. Finding my feet. Okay. Boom, baby. All right. So don't ever feel compelled that you have to pull from the ground, because you may not have that range of motion available to you. And that's where you see, unfortunately, a lot of people deadlifting with terrible form because they don't have the range of motion they need to deadlift well, okay? I'm actually a good example of that, but I'll show you that in a minute. How concerned am I? Greatly concerned. Yeah, greatly concerned. However, I think there is a mystery to faith, and I would never want to fall into judgment like I'm better than anybody else. It's just there is a concern because I care, and I think that the hope and the grace and the mercy that I have, I want everybody to have that, and a lot of people that I meet that aren't saved don't seem to have that peace. And I'm not saying I'm always peaceful, I'm not. But when I rest in God through prayer, I find peace. And that peace is life-giving, and I want everybody to have that. Is that good? Yeah, you can see. All right. Okay, so speaking of more space, right? We can get wide or we can come in. Coming in is going to require more of that ability to get lower without losing your back, and you have to push your hips back farther to get there, right? Which is great. If you can do a conventional deadlift, awesome. I love it, okay? That's not what I'm doing today. I'm getting wider. Trying not to point the toes out a lot because you don't want to drive too much of that external rotation if you don't need to. So depending on you, you're gonna have to get your toes a little wider maybe than straight. That's pretty normal. But if you can keep them straight and have good mobility, that's probably a little better, because them being straight is you really feeling your foot from the heel to the base of your big toe, that pad on your big toe, and then the left side, like underneath your pinky toe, that pad, it's like a tripod, that's feeling the whole foot. If you can do that, then you're going to be producing force into the ground most efficiently and more biomechanically, which that's a whole nother video. We'll talk about that later, okay? Any questions on that? Go for it. All right, setting up. Yeah, feels good. Haven't done those in a while. Feels really good. Okay, hands to draw, too evil to hope. I gotta go to the restroom real quick. Don't worry, I'm gonna come right back. Just gotta. You don't wanna go here with me. Be right back. Okay. We're back. We are back. All right. You see the bar from there too? Yeah. Let's go. So one of the great ways to generate bigger biceps is on deadlift days, in my opinion. Because on deadlift days, no matter how you're holding the bar, you're getting a lot of time under tension, okay? So adding in some sort of bicep exercise on deadlift days can be pretty beneficial for most men that wanna get a little bigger bicep, okay? I'm working on mobility in my shoulder range of motion. So I'm gonna be doing a chin up, but I'm not doing it to fatigue my lats, right? I'm doing it to get a little more range of motion, but really build strength in my chin up because I've lost that over time because I just don't do them. And I don't do pull-ups anymore. Pull-ups wreck me, my neck. So that's what I'm gonna be doing in between. We're taking a longer rest now because I had to use the restroom, so oh well. Like I said, it's about having fun today. We're gonna get our sets in. We're gonna take a little longer rest in between, but then we're gonna throw in some accessory work at the end, okay? So, let's do this. So again, increasing that range of motion, you wanna breathe through it the whole time, okay? And you don't wanna overdo it, you don't need to tax it. So I don't need to do 10 chin-ups, okay? Because we're just adding a little bit more of that time under tension to the bicep, and then I'm breathing through it to enhance my range of motion a little bit without doing this with my rib cage, okay? So this is not gonna increase your range of motion, it's gonna limit it. We need to add weight. My glutes are gonna feel this tomorrow. Can't wait. Since I stopped deadlifting so much,
You can definitely see that I lost major size there. Okay. Whew, feels good. So again, taking my time, getting full range of motion, breathing through it, breathing in on the way down, but controlled. You don't want to lose that breathing in when you don't have to, because you'll start holding your breath. I could do my chin-ups. You'll start holding your breath and not breathing, especially in. And what that does is, you're like, well, what's so important about breathing? Well, a lot of things, but just from the standpoint of compressing our bodies, you are compressing your body to move weight, which is not a bad thing. But if you do it regularly and consistently over time, and you keep compressing without expanding, that's when things break, or you limit your availability to move to such a great extent that you can't do things you enjoy. So for me, one of them is I like to play basketball a lot. I love it. I don't want to lose my ability to twist and rotate, because what happens is I don't jump as well, I don't jump as high, but it's not just about height or jumping, it's about putting force into the ground explosively. So you slow down. I might be able to deadlift a whole bunch of weight, but if I slow down on the basketball court, forget it. I'm not interested in that. So I want the best of both worlds. And breathing while you do your exercises, especially on the inhale, gently to about 70%, is going to enhance that expansion, and that is going to give you more of an availability to move like you want, which is, again, availability to move. I know that's kind of a tricky term, but all it is your ability to twist or rotate. And that's what you do when you walk. You are twisting and you're rotating. Foundational movement principle. I think I found a fly in my gym. How dare you? We just cleaned in here, man. Okay. So if we were resting, trying to get maximum weight on the bar today, we take about a 2.5 minute, 3 minute rest. Not worried about that. So we're just gonna get after it. Good stuff. Oops, I was supposed to get a text from my wife. And I put it on airplane mode on accident. Okay, we're good. All right, so water break in between after the chins. So in between as well, if you're limited, like I said, on your range of motion, you can do some of the resets in between, and that'll help gain that ability to expand and compress, and not just compress more without as much expansion. And if that doesn't make sense, please ask questions. I know that's a lot. When do you take it? I don't. But I am very interested in the next year or so with peptides, getting more research. I know there's a lot of people using them, getting great results, but the side effects are very unclear. And then where you buy them, how expensive they are, all that stuff is but peptides are a signaling molecule that could potentially be very helpful in creating a better physique, but overall increasing health biomarkers. And then there's some other drugs like the GLP-1 agonists, like Ozempic, but those are gonna be like 3 times better in the next year or two. There's some really interesting testing going on right now for maximizing muscle, taking away visceral fat around your organs at the same time. And that's very interesting because with AI, we're able to test these things faster now. So we'll see, it's interesting. But anabolic steroids, never worth it, in my opinion. Just asking for trouble and side effects, especially when you're young. Don't even get me started on that. That's a huge waste. This, you got me going on the steroids. This culture that we live in that needs things now, it's killing us slowly. And so what, you look impressive, you know? If you look impressive because you took a drug, good for you. But what you're missing out on there is the journey to get there. You kind of like, you cheated a little bit, which is fine. There's no judgment there. But the journey is where all the magic happens. That's where the lessons come. And then, like I said, the side effects right now are just not worth it. Especially in the next year or two with AI, we're gonna have some great drugs probably with little to no side effects. Like, just wait for that. You think a starvation type of weight loss is good? Yeah, no, it's a loaded question. Ozempic can be helpful for certain people, but I have just had a conversation with a client yesterday about this. They are at a place where they cannot lose muscle mass because they cannot gain it back fast enough. And so it's probably not a good idea for them to take it because it gets rid of fat, but it also gets rid of muscle. So unless you're training regularly and getting a stimulus with protein as well, it's very dicey. It's very dicey. It's kind of, so it really depends. I couldn't say a blanket statement for anybody. It just depends on the individual themselves. All right, quick chin-ups. Martin Jean, what's up? Protein shake midday. Another one in the evening is more efficient than just... Is OMOD a typo? What's OMOD? Or 1 in the morning? Is that what you meant? 1 in the morning? Just 1? You'll lose the same amount of weight even though you take... Oh, sorry, I'm juggling. 400... Martin, I'm not sure what you're saying. Are you saying take 2 protein shakes instead of 1? Is that what you're saying? To increase total protein? Oh, OMOD, got it. 1 meal a day, got it. Yeah, fasting is an interesting one. It depends on why you're fasting. If you're fasting to get more muscle, it's not going to be helpful. It's going to change your results for sure. Is it a make it or break it? Probably not. Can you maintain the muscle you have when you're fasting? Yes, but you got to be careful. You got to know what you're doing. But a lot of people are fasting for mental results, not physical. And if they are doing it for physical, I'd just be very curious why. The research that I've seen is pretty significant, saying that if you're fasting to limit total calorie intake, then fine, go ahead and do that. But you don't have to do that. You could just limit calories in every meal that you have. But fasting is really more about, well, there's a couple different reasons for you doing it. But a lot of people intermittent fast and then try to gain more muscle. But really, they're just trying to cheat the system and say, all right, I'm gonna eat less. I'm just gonna eat in one meal. And I find that most of the clients that I've trained on intermittent fasting, that we try that with, what it really comes out to be is they don't want to pay attention to eating all day. They don't want to think about it. And then the other fact too is they have a problem with eating too much food and also highly palatable foods, which ends up creating their calorie intake above where they need it. And then it's also usually higher in fat or junk food. And so eating one meal a day, they're like, okay, I can eat junk food still, but not overeat. And I'm obviously, there's a lot more to fasting than this, but that's typically what I've seen. Less than efficient than, yeah. Again, it's not about the protein shake though, Martin. It's about the protein, the total protein per day. And then there's marginal difference based off how regularly you're taking it. So missing protein for most of the day and just taking one huge bolus of protein versus taking it intermittently throughout the day will make a marginal change. It'll be noticeable, but probably not substantial. But again, it depends on the person, like always. Depends on how much they're training. Depends on if they're new to training or if they're advanced or intermediate, right? You gotta put all these into the equation. I do this when I ate too much past weeks. I'm a foodie. Yeah, well, there you go. See, so like fasting can be awesome for foodies. Seriously, like it's great because you can limit your calories, but eat the foods that you really enjoy. And then hopefully you're still checking the boxes for fiber, vitamins and minerals. And then you're not overdoing fat. You know, when I say overdoing fat, you're not overdoing saturated fat and missing out on monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fat. Those would be like the quick things that I'd be weary of missing out on. Fasting's good for, yep, autophagy and getting rid of all the cells. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I know that's a huge claim. I think it's a little more, I think there's more to that. I agree doing it, but again, saying fasting is good for autophagy, like how much fasting, how regularly, how long do you fast? Are you exercising, are you not exercising? So yeah, I know what you're trying to say, but as a blanket statement, you gotta be careful because if you just take that as a broad statement, you're like, fasting's good, so I'm just gonna fast. You could easily lose muscle mass that way. And I would say that's probably not ideal for most people, especially guys that want bigger biceps. Check my nutrients with AI and take, oh, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, Martin, if you're using AI, you're probably doing much better than the average person, man. Yeah, for sure. AI still needs to get a little more specific, in my opinion. We're still missing out on some of the specifics and the nuances of the individual. N equals 1. Okay, we're gonna do some curls on the bench. Oops. So, this is one of my favorite bicep exercises because you can lock in your armpit, you can get a great range of motion out of it, and you can also do one side, unilateral, versus both at the same time, which is typically not ideal. Oh, my wife texted me. Sorry, she's checking in. Sorry about that. Yeah. So again, one of the big things people miss out on this is you have to anchor down your armpit in a little bit of a squeeze so you're not getting this shoulder moving forward. See if I can, moving forward like that as you curl. So we're gonna get a little bit of a tight armpit. That's gonna increase pressure in our bicep. And then again, breathing in, out. Full range of motion. Don't you cheat on that range of motion now, or you're only cheating yourself. Who cares how much weight you do? Seriously. What a silly thing. Hey bro, how much do you bench press? Oh, yeah, well I bench press more. Oh, good for you. I'd rather be healthier, move better, and have less of an ego. My 20-year-old self, embarrassing. But you got to start somewhere, right? I totally lost count. These are way harder than they were last week. Oh my gosh. So this is the magic I'm telling you, right? I did deadlifts, time under tension for the bicep, a couple chin-ups, time under tension for the bicep, and now I'm doing curls, and my biceps are already pre-fatigued, whatever that means, but they're a little tired, more tired than usual, right? So now when I do my accessory work, I'm gonna get more out of it because I'm getting a little closer to failure. Subscribe, bro. Hey, thanks, Martin. Appreciate you, man. Good to have you here, dude. And I love what you're saying about fasting. I hope it doesn't come off like I'm challenging you. I'm not trying to challenge you. It's just there's so much nuance to health and fitness, and unfortunately, you go on most people's channels and there's not a lot of nuance. It's just like, I do it this way, you do it this way, I get results, you get results. Yeah, bro. It's like it's so much deeper than that. You got to be careful with that. So Martin, how often are you strength training during the week? You like 2, 3, 4 times? What are you doing? What kind of splits or full bodies are you doing? My wife got pulled over today, and I kind of feel like it's my fault because her car's in the shop, so it's getting some body work done on it. So I let her, I had her take my truck to work. Well, my truck is way bigger than her car. And anyways, she got pulled over speeding in a school zone, which is funny because you'd think she'd be driving slower, but I think she was a little late to work. But dude, tell me if this is not true, man. If you're a woman and you start bawling when a cop pulls you over, there's no way that dude's giving you a ticket. Unless it's a female cop, maybe. But every woman I've ever known since the dawn of driving at 16, if you cry to a cop and you're a female, probably not gonna get a ticket. So anyway, she didn't get a ticket. So again, one of the other One of the other awesome things about doing these type of curls unilaterally, not having both of your feet parallel to each other. Did you catch that? Vortex, what's up? How are you? Because if I was doing this on a machine, wait, I can't see. If I was doing 2 feet on a machine, right? Guess what? All of a sudden you're pushing into the floor with both of your feet, which that's gonna produce more force, right? So you're no matter how good a form you have, you're gonna be using your legs a little bit. So when I go one leg and I get long here, right? Like a split squat, I can't push through my left foot. There's no force. And if I'm squatting into my right a little bit, guess what? It's like all upper body, right? That's one reason I love these. It's just like, get the best stretch ever. I keep getting phone calls. I think I gotta go airplane mode when I'm live. Sorry, guys. All right. What's up? Hey, how's your day going? How's the Tuesday going, Vortex, huh? Did you get your workout in? Oops, I think I overdid that side. My right's feeling great, but my left is feeling weak today. Must be those deadlifts. Not today, but tomorrow? Awesome, man. What do you got going on tomorrow? Are you squatting? Squatting? International Chest Day was yesterday, so chest again? What's your guys' favorite sandwich? I'm gonna be running to pick up my kids, so I was thinking I was gonna get a sandwich. I don't eat a lot of sandwiches, but I'm just hankering for one now. I did some deadlifts. I'm like, okay, we can up the calories today. I know Jimmy John's is popular. There's Jersey Mike's, Subway, Quiznos. Quiznos closed here. Ooh, I gotta focus. So again, remember my shoulder, last set, I'm not letting it move forward. Oh gosh, yeah, and that's why it's harder. Because right now, watch, I could go like that. And then all of a sudden, you're not getting as good at gains. Just bulking up a little bit. All right, man, good. Upper body, lower body, sorry. I don't know what's going on. I'm getting like phone calls and they're interrupting the stream. That usually doesn't happen. I apologize. Okay, last set on the right. Stretch, stretch, yeah, baby, woo, that's what we're talking about. Woo, lightweight, baby. Ain't nothing but a peanut. All right, guys, that was awesome. Martin, it's good having you here, man. Thank you. Vortex, we missed you. Glad you're getting that bulk session in tomorrow. Too Evil to Hope, thanks for dropping in. Hands to Draw, Momchi, Corey Macy's. I totally missed that, Corey, my bad. G-Easy cousin. And Grow Garden, thank you guys for commenting, appreciate it. Love the likes too, gets this message out to other people. Hopefully you're gonna help somebody else. Hopefully put a little this energy into you, get some of that. Because I don't want you ever forgetting that there's always hope. And training can be an enhancement to the biochemicals in here. Boom. The mental brain chemicals, those neurochemicals that we love. Get you woken up and refreshed, get you focused on the day, get you back in action. Remember, taking action is more important than having a perfect plan. If you missed that discussion, it's at the very beginning of the video. Go back, listen to it. And if it doesn't inspire you or help you or educate you in any way, I will be shocked and I owe you a coffee. Vortex, have a great day. Thanks for dropping in. I gotta go pick up the kids, guys. It's been an awesome workout. Deadlifts, some chin-ups, bicep curls for the girl, because I don't do girls, I do the wife. I'm rambling. You were made in the image of God, and He loves you. Don't forget it. Have a beautiful, amazing Tuesday. A Tuesday full of action and a vortex. Wait, 24, did you switch over on me, bro? Have a great day, brother. Appreciate you. I'll catch you next time, all right? I'm gonna stop rambling and get out of here. I'm gonna go drive my kids crazy. I'm definitely gonna embarrass them today. Have a great day. Thank you. I'll see you next time.